Hey, welcome to Chase the Vase podcast, where it shares hope for those struggling with addiction, hope for those suffering right along with the addict, and hope for those who are doing it on a daily. Staying sober and being sober is an anomaly. Most do not reach sobriety. Life gets in the way of that. We have three definite choices when dealing with addiction. One, you can either die and get covered up, get locked up, or sober up. Think about it. When was the last time you saw an old drug dealer? It's a young man's game, and it doesn't last very long. This podcast will examine the lives of men and women who choose to hunt sobriety. Sobriety is not passive. It will not come to you. It cannot be completely by positive thinking or by osmosis. Sobriety takes effort, work, grind, passion, changing everything about your life, relentless focus, and rigorously honest. We will shine a light on the addiction process using guests who are currently in recovery and those who are in active addiction, or those who want to create an example for us to follow. Today, that is exactly who we have. So can I call you Dr. Derek Price?
Whatever you want, bro. You just call me Derek, man. Just keep it short.
But you are a doctor now.
Yes.
Man, that's sick. So let me just give, what's that?
I keep it as casual as possible, man.
But I kind of like it, man. Like I feel like that's a big deal.
Okay.
You know, you put the time into it, right?
Yep.
So just to give a little bit of background, Arizona native.
Yep.
You went to Marcos Deniza High School, so everybody knows that school. Then you went to MCC, where they don't even have football anymore.
Yeah, that's a tragedy right there.
I went to Eastern.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, so I get the tragedy, man. Those were the highlights of my life. I loved it. Then you went to the University of Iowa.
Yep.
Iowa Hawkeye, and you played tight end there?
Yes, sir.
Man, and then you ended up on the Detroit Lions. We're going to keep that on the download this year, but that's all. You're on the Detroit Lions, which is super cool, man. And you played for 2 years until you got an injury?
Yeah, man. I broke my neck on a kickoff. And, it's funny because we're talking about addiction. The story kind of makes a little bit of sense. Broke my neck on a kickoff, and locker room remedy was stay on the field back in those days, bro. Like if you got hurt, you went to the training room, like you're not playing anymore, and your contracts weren't guaranteed. So, I mean, back in the leather helmet days, like when I was playing, if there were 16 games in the season, you got paid every week. And if you got cut like week 2, then you got 2 weeks worth of pay. That's a wrap, like contract's gone. So going to the training room was not something that was highly advisable, especially like myself. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not Barry Sanders. I'm not Herman Moore. Like, in my opinion, I flew under a lucky star. I made the play in front of the right guy at the right time. I got lucky. I was the guy that was, in my opinion, lucky to be there. And I was very happy to be there. And I wanted to do everything I could to stay there. So about 4 games left, I broke my neck, but all the pain was in my shoulder. So, taking advice from, those around me, I'm not going to name drop, but it was Miller Lite and Vicodin, bro. Like that's what got me through the last 4 games. And I went home, and then the symptoms of a broken neck, my arm atrophied. I had a 19-inch right arm and a 12-inch left arm, because all the muscles just had died off. And I signed another contract, went back to camp, and that's when they figured out something was wrong, sent me to the hospital, and I had a big surgery and all that. But yeah, man, it was we're talking addiction in sports and injury, and that, I've seen guys trade tickets for lunch bags of Vicodin out of the back of hospitals from doctors. Like, I mean, I hope today it's different. I mean, I haven't been in the game for a minute. My last year was back 98, but that was the game, bro.
Yeah. So what was the play? What was the play that got you there?
So I'm running down on a kickoff, and they don't do it anymore, but it's called wedge busters. You remember what that is? Like
Absolutely.
Right down the middle and just a straight torpedo. And I had my guy lined up. There was like 2 offensive guys, basically like offensive guard tackle size, came together, and I was going to like go right through the middle of them. So I leave my feet. And at the same time, one of my buddies hit me while I was in the air on the side, and it pushed me off just a little bit. So instead of hitting here, I kind of hit like that, and the neck just went, arm went numb, and that was a wrap. I got up, walked off the field, and kept playing, played 4 more games. But yeah, it was it was like somebody shooting a blowtorch down your spine, out your fingertips every time you breathe. But
you kept playing for 4 more games.
Yeah, man, I was on the field, dude. I spent a whole lifetime trying to get there. It wasn't about, like wrapping it up, like I said, I felt like I was lucky to be there. I mean, hell, on last cuts day, I went to the mall. It's like, they're going to cut me. They got to find me, So, like I was that guy. Like nobody
Yeah.
told me, nobody ever told me I made the team. They just didn't tell me I didn't. So after last cuts day, I came back into the locker room, kind of crept my way in, and I'm like, my stuff's still in my locker. I guess I'll put it on. I'm gonna walk out to the practice field, and nobody said anything. So I was like, dude, I guess I'm on this team.
What the?
Hey man, I was a rookie, man. Like, keep your head down, kept my head down.
That's awesome. So so right now you're an owner of the Desert Hope Treatment Center, CEO,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Owner, no, I'm not the owner. So Desert Hope is an affiliate of a national company called American Addiction Centers.
Okay.
And AAC, American Addiction Centers, has treatment facilities from Laguna all the way to Maine, from California to Maine. And I'm the CEO of the Las Vegas, which is one of the larger ones, but has all spectrums from the medical detox from the time you come in to, residential care. I have 180 beds here for residential care. Then I have outpatient, which is IOP and PHP, which is still, covered by medical and covered by our counselors, all the way to I have a 180 bed CCOP, like a hotel that we bought that we house sober living in. So I'm in it all day, bro. I mean, I'm living it, breathing it, touching it all day, every day. We do.
So you're speaking my language, man, because for the last 5.5 years, I ran a recovery program in Sholo.
Oh, right on. Very cool.
So I understand the day-to-day operation, what you're going through, man.
Yeah.
And what I noticed when I was checking you out, you said the goal is to help people be the best version of themselves.
Absolutely. So first and foremost is like the stigma, and even having the balls to show up at a recovery center is like, you basically have thrown up the surrender flag. You know what I mean? Like you said, I can't control this anymore. I'm going to pay you to make these choices for me. Teach me a better way. Get me clean, get me sober, and put me on the right path. And when I take all of that stuff, not everybody's a size 12. It's not a one size fits all program. So what we like to do here is I have counselors from different, religious and ethnic and gender backgrounds with different specialties. We have a battalion program that all my LEOs, first responders, EMS, paramedic, and military, and they're in their own division because their stories are their stories, right? And then I have my different populations in my different groups, and they all get to meet with people that are relevant to their walk of life. And then we brought in a group called the Phoenix Group, and they do all of our fitness for us. They're another recovery group, and they do a lot of fitness events for us. But ultimately, man, Brock, as you know, everybody breaks down. How you build them back is always the goal. Is how do I get them back to their best version of self? Like when you come in here, one of the first questions we ask you is, what do you hope to get out of this? And after this goes well and you're sober, what are you going to do? So I want to know, when you come in here at the bottom, what am I trying to grow you towards? Is it to go back and be a better father? Is it to go back and be gainfully employed? Is it to be like the mother that you always thought you could be? Is it just the child that is living positive? Like everybody's got such a different path, man. So when I say best version of self, for a guy like yourself or me, maybe that's, I want to go run an Ironman or something like that. Like I want to fully express my physicality. Somebody else, maybe I want to be involved in a chess club. Somebody else is helping Habitat for Humanity, or, you know what I mean? Like we all have our different goals. So I want to figure out what that is and then get you the tools while you're here, while you've thrown up that surrender flag, and just bombard you with like love and compassion and a path to get to there. I want you to see that light while you're still under my roof here.
Come on, man. You're an A-type personality. You're throwing out words like love and compassion.
Hey, man, listen, like I'm a hard guy. Like I've done a lot of hard shit, I ran 27 SEAL Week, SEAL Fit Hell camps or Hell Week camps called Kokoro. I do a lot of shooting things. I run around the world with a lot of like really high level guys that are all SEAL team guys or Marine guys. And so can I be cold? Yeah, man, I can be really cold. Do I like to be? No, but at the end of the day, like I can't beat you into submission, Brock, and beat you sober. Like
Yeah.
it is, you know, it's going to work here and there. You know what I mean? That drill sergeant approach. But the reality is sometimes some people just need an arm around them, bro. Like put your arm around and be like, man, I got you. I understand you. I know where you're coming from. I've been down that road. I know that life, and I'm here for you, you know, because the way that I see it, when people come in here, man, they've been kicked in the teeth by everybody. Like they stole pills from their mama's closet. They looted their grandpa's heirlooms and sold it for smack, you know. They were found unconscious by their kids. Like everybody's already hating on them. So you come in here, man, I'm big on, come here, bring it in, son. Like, give me this big ass hug. I'm here for you. My team's here for you. What can we do? We're going to make you your best version of you while you're here. And so I've found that approach moves the needle a lot more successfully than that militaristic, don't do this, don't do that, abstinence, just bashing that in your head. Boom, 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 boom. Love and compassion. So yeah, man, like, yeah, I love to fight. I rolled jujitsu 3 nights a week, you know, and came up banging my head in football. But sometimes you gotta, like, I think the bigger people, like the older I get, being tough means that I'm vulnerable enough to open up and say, man, I love you. I'm here for you. I'm here for you, my brother. Like, what can I do for you? Like, I'm not the 20-year-old kid anymore with, you know, 35-inch wheels booming my system so that you see me driving by. I'm the guy in like the least expensive car you'll ever see, man. I used to wear a suit when I came in here to work. I'm a CEO of a major company, major corporation, right? I came in here the first day I was in a 3-piece suit. Came in here the second day, bro, I'm rocking a t-shirt. Why? Because I didn't fit in. So people who came in off the street, man, they couldn't relate to me. They're looking at me and they're like, oh, this dude's in a $3,000 suit, gold watch, and, you know, everything going on. We weren't on the same level. So I started coming in with, you know, khakis, Vans, and a black t-shirt. And they're like, hey, I'll talk to this guy. So it's not about me, my ego, and making you think I'm a cool guy. It's about removing all of my stuff and saying, how can I serve you? And that's what gives me, I call it soul satiety, Brock. Like when I lay my head on the pillow at night, I go to sleep knowing like I'm doing everything I can to help people have a better life. You know what I mean? And then all that minutiae shit that goes on in your day to day, it just is what it's trivial.
It is what it is.
Trivial. It is what it is. Trivial. I'm out here trying to make people their best version of self. So whatever I got to do to make that happen, I'm gonna do it.
So you said your mission, a little bit different than your goal, is to save lives.
Yeah.
Now, I know even for me, man, I know you've talked about it a little bit. Running a program's rough, man. You get some of those days where your men, your women just don't make it.
Yeah.
You know, so how are you fighting through that, man? And what's your go-to?
So, man, that's, you know, I'm glad that you're from the background so you understand it. Like, we are a securitized facility, but I'm not a lockdown facility. So when you admit here, you can pick up and leave anytime you want. I can't restrain you. And I have had, you know, some of the younger kids come in, you know, 20, 22, 23 years old. And they're on a program where they're going to detox for a certain, you know, a week or two. And then they're going to go into RTC, which is residential care. And they'll get through detox. And then for the first time in maybe a year, 2 years, they're sober. So they're like, dude, I'm healed. I'm good. I'm healed. I'm good. I don't want any more money. I'm good. I'm going home. I'm out of here. And I'm like, oh, slow down. Like, you haven't changed any of the habits that led you to where you were. Like, give it time. And, you know, Brock, you know the deal. I've watched kids walk out the door here only to read their obituary the next day, 2 days later, 3 days later. And it breaks my heart, man. Like, it literally breaks my heart. Like, very specifically, I came in here one of the days when I first got here. I had a kid, a local kid, and we have Fremont Street. Hell, man, I'm in Vegas, bro. Fremont Street, you get anything you want right in Fremont Street. And he checked in and, you know, got through detox, and he was supposed to be here for 30 days. And I see him at the front, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh, I'm good, I'm leaving. And then as I watched them give him his belongings back, he had a roll of cash like that. And I was like, well, where are you going, young buck? And he's like, oh, I'm good, like, you know, whatever. And I'm watching him walk out with a roll of cash like this. And I said, listen, man, I'm gonna give you some tough love right here. I don't even want your money. You can just stay here. You need this care right now. It's not about the money for me. But I have this feeling that if you walk out that door right now, you're never going to walk in another one. He assured me he was good. Obituary 2 days later. Ugh. You know, a lot of these guys, as you know, man, they use at a certain level, right?
Yeah.
They're used to a certain amount of heroin, a certain amount of alcohol, a certain amount of fentanyl. And then when they get clean and they go back and they hit that party life and they're used to doing that amount of drugs or drinking that much, hell, their body's not built up for that anymore. So it kills them. Boom, right there. And
that's why they call it a progressive disease, right?
dude, hey, I'll tell you what, man, let's talk about breaking down that stigma on progressive disease. And I'm glad that you said that. Addiction is a disease. Okay. It is not simply a choice, an illogical choice that people continually, repetitively make to ruin their lives. It is a disease. And if anything came out of doing this message, Brock, for me, it's before I got into this work, I came from musculoskeletal work, like orthopedic surgery, surgery centers, anesthesia, pain clinics, chiropractic, PT. Like I did that for 20 years, opened those clinics, doctored it up, did the whole thing. I never understood addiction.
Right.
I see homeless people. I would hear of alcoholics. And I'd be like, what a loser. Like, just stop drinking. You don't want to be an alcoholic. Just don't drink anymore. Like, you're making the choice. You're an idiot. Blah, 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 and that's how I knew it, not by education, but just as my perception, my stigma of the deal. Well, I get here, and now that I've read into it, I'm fully, vested and studied up, man, it is a disease. It's like asking an alcoholic not to be an alcoholic anymore is like asking a diabetic, like, just don't have blood sugar irregularities.
And you don't get your insulin anymore.
Yeah. And you don't get your, you good luck. And, you look at somebody like Brock, you and I are walking down the street together. We see an elderly man or woman, a homeless man or woman, a veteran, somebody with disabilities, and they're stuck at a crosswalk. A guy like yourself, guy like myself, I get out of the car, help that person across the street because I know that they can't do it on their own. Now think about that for a second. Everybody listening to your podcast is like, hell yeah, that's me too. Okay, well, what do you do when you see the homeless guy? What do you do when you see like the drug addict? You go far around him, right?
And talk shit about him on the way.
Yeah, what a scumbag. I'm not getting money. What a piece of shit, blah, 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 whatever. I've changed, and that's what I want to do is get that out. If you would never talk shit about somebody that had cancer. You would never talk shit about an LEO, a fire department, a vet that got wounded in battle or on the job.
Right.
But you're quick to talk shit about alcoholic or a drug addict, thinking like they're just logically making that choice, man. Brock, you and I both know maybe it starts off, they make some bad decisions, but then their biochemistry is different than others. Their brain triggers are different than others. And all of a sudden they can't breathe without it. It's different, right? For people who can take a drink and walk away, take a pain pill and flush the rest when their surgeries are over, you're not living in the same mindset. You don't have the same neurochemistry that these other people have. And these other people, when that neurochemistry gets sparked off, they take a shot of vodka and it's like unicorns just popped out. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing on planet Earth. And their body just screams for it all day long.
Yeah.
It's totally different, man. So,
but on the flip side, these people, I mean, that aren't as knowledgeable maybe, are also have other addictions, like maybe an eating habit or gambling.
Absolutely.
And because we all of us carry something.
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, hell, my wife would be the first to tell you I have an exercise addiction. Now, I validate that by saying like, oh no, going to the gym every day is good and it's good and it's good. Have I overtrained? Yeah. Did I work out 2 hours a day on my honeymoon? Yeah. Is that normal? No, it's not normal, but
that ain't normal.
We all have our thing, right? We all have our thing, our go-to. Maybe it's video games. Maybe it's books. Maybe it's trolling.
Sugar, pornography.
Look at the 18-year-old kid now. Tell me they don't have a phone addiction. Oof. Try and take social media away. Try and take Snapchat away from a kid. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Tell me they don't have an addiction. Like, hell, you could tell your kid, I'm not giving you allowance. He's like, cool. You're like, I'm taking your phone. They're like, Dad, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
man.
saying? So,
yes.
Yeah, we all have our thing, bro. We all have our addiction, and we actually try and utilize that to our advantage. So going back to, you asked me, how do you guys work towards trying to make somebody the best version of self? Is if you have an addictive personality and you're easily addictable and you became addicted to drugs or alcohol, I try and show you a different thing to become. I'm not going to say you're not going to become addicted in it. Health, wellness, spirituality, community service, charity, and you can become addicted to that stuff too.
So you utilize the replacement theory?
Like I said, not everything works for everybody every time.
Yeah.
But I have seen that very successfully. And many addicts and recovering addicts you'll see are doing like ultra marathons and are they running too much and too hard? Yeah, they are. But they're not, you know what I mean? They're not using anymore. They're not killing people in DUIs. Like,
we're running away from that, man. I'm telling you as fast as we can.
yeah.
So let me go on something you talked about. So you made the correlation. If you and I saw this guy on the side of the road, we see a homeless man, we see an addict. For these people, for those that are listening to this podcast, man, what do you do? What do you direct them to do? How would you have them act differently to maybe even start chipping away at this stigma?
Good. First off, listen, nobody wants to be homeless. Nobody says, hey, nobody in their right mind. And this is where, Brock, what we get into dual diagnosis really comes from. And I think before I answer that question, I think it's important for your listeners to know, like, there's a lot of different ways to look at addiction. Well, if you study the white papers, 87.2% of people with addictive tendencies such as alcoholism, drug use, etc., have a mental health comorbidity, right? Anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, fear, PTSD, etc. So I think that you have to start with saying, like, every case is different, but let me start with compassion. Let me be compassionate about that guy on the corner that has that sign that says, like, he's out there every day. Like, I need $2. I need $1, out of work, whatever. Like, nobody wakes up when they're a child and says, man, someday I want to grow up and I want to be this dude that lives on the side of a freeway begging for dollars. Like, says nobody ever, right? So start with some compassion. And does that mean you run over and help everybody? No, because there's still safety that has to be involved in things. I mean, you're an LEO, you understand that. You can't just run up on a homeless person and grab them by the hand. But maybe just not talk shit about them to begin with. Maybe if it looks safe, feels safe, and there's something you can do, you can offer assistance, maybe give them a meal, give them food, give them whatever, try and encourage them to get help. Does that mean go out of your way and do that? It's for some people, yeah, that's a great mission. But for the average person listening today, is just say, hey man, when you hear about your mother, brother, cousin, uncle, sister, best friend from high school, ex-wife, whatever, it's an alcoholic, start with compassion and say, most times people utilize a substance, drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever it is, because there's a hole in their heart. There's a hole in their soul. And they're like, I'm trying to cover this. Hell, it's the same thing with food. You look at a 600-pound person, they're not just sitting around going, hey man, how can I be super fat today?
Yeah.
There's something in their soul that's saying, like, I hurt. I'm hurting. I'm broken. And I'm putting this Band-Aid, and for me, this Band-Aid is food. For me, this Band-Aid is alcohol. It's heroin. It's fentanyl. It's whatever. So I think if you start from there, which changes the stigma of saying, like, this person's a loser, but start with that stigma of, like, hey, something's not right. This person isn't playing with the same deck I'm playing with. They're experiencing problems I may not have. Learn more if you want to, but just start with compassion.
I like that. So I know that you talk about brotherhood. And you talk about an important component to what you do. I know that your psychology, your mental toughness comes from that. So talk to me a little bit about your brotherhood and how important is it in recovery to find that niche, find that group?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, and I would say for the vast majority of people, nobody can successfully do recovery as a soldier in an army of one. You've got to find people that are in your tribe. You've got to join a tribe that is successfully moving in the direction you want to go. Accumulate people around you that are there to build you up. The brotherhood, my brotherhood is different than yours, Brock. Although it's funny how many people we share in common, right? But when I say you got to find a brotherhood and you find mental toughness in that brotherhood, is you have to show up so that you can be helped. But by you being helped and showing up, you're now part of that brotherhood that other people are going to show up for. And there's days when you don't want to go. There's days you don't want to go to a 12-step meeting. There's days when you don't want to go to an NA meeting. There's days where you're just like, I don't want to go to work. I'd rather sit here and drink. It's that mental toughness of showing up for others. Sometimes when you take yourself out of it and say, I'm going to do this hard thing because my why, my resounding reason to do this is bigger than me. I want to do that for that person in that group. Take the pain off yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Focus on the team. So create your tribe. And if that tribe is your husband, your wife, your kids, your coworkers, the people you meet at an NA or an AA meeting, there are a million groups out there that are looking at open invitation. I'll come. We'll help you. We'll help you. We'll help you. And when you join that, remember, you're now a person, you're a cog in that wheel, and hopefully helping other people. Like, you don't know a subject until you can teach it. And when you teach a subject, you really know that you know it. You want to get sober? Join a group. Start to teach what they're preaching. And then that'll just make that'll make you better at what you're trying to do and give you a more successful outcome.
So joining these groups, man, how do we break this stigma then, man? Because I know this is a big kind of a march that I'm on as well. I mean, I have a brother that's still involved in active addiction. I was in active addiction for 10 years. So I get it, man. It makes sense to me. But a lot of people looking out there, they don't understand it. They look at us now and they're like, that guy's not an addict. You don't look like an addict. But there was a time. So how do we start bridging this gap?
Conversations, open conversations. Don't be scared to talk to somebody. Don't be scared to ask. If you think they have a drinking problem, like, the mental toughness comes from like actually asking, hey man, Brock, I noticed last night you tipped him back for quite a long time. Like, it seems like you're doing that every time we go out. Like, can we talk about that a little bit? Listen, that's uncomfortable. That is uncomfortable to have that conversation. You're like, woo, I might be breaking up a friendship. Brock might not want to hang out with me if he knows I'm going to ask questions like that. I'm going to pick at that. But Brock on the inside is saying, like, somebody save me. Somebody help me. You know what I mean? But he's got his tough machismo exterior up there too. Like, I played in the NFL. I did that thing, and I've done a lot of hard events, whatever. And I hang out with a lot of guys that are decorated from their time, doing pumps overseas. It is a tough group of human beings. But when you come from an honest and your integrity is out there and you're like, I'm here to help you. And you don't do it in front of people, man. Like, I wouldn't come call you out, Brock, if I thought you had a problem. If you're around like 10 of your boys at one time, you're going to put your wall up. You're going to be pissed. You're going to be embarrassed.
Fight, yeah.
We're going to take it out back. Right. And you're going to punch me in the mouth. But I'm going to find you when you're by yourself, and I'm going to put my arm around you. Hey man, like, I've noticed something going on. Let's talk about that a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And understand, like I said, come from compassion, but there's a reason why that person is using. And if they haven't sought help yet, it is a very mentally tough move to be the guy that says, I'm going to go talk to him, versus, oh, it's somebody else's problem, his wife, his husband, his whatever, they can do it. No, go be that person. Like, be the person that you hope that, God forbid, one of your kids ever becomes an addict. Be the person that's big enough to see it, identify it, and go talk to them. And when you think about it like that, you're like, yeah, if my kid was across the country and was an addict, I sure as hell hope somebody's going to see it and try and get him some help, right? Because he may keep it invisible from me. You know what I'm saying? So be that guy and understand that they're not making that choice just to do it. There's a reason behind it. Try and get to the bottom of it.
I like that. Be that guy, man. Be that guy. I like that.
Don't talk about it.
Tell me where you fit. I know we talked about mental toughness, and I kind of want to end with this, man. I want to talk about because I hear a lot of people, these experts are saying, hey, man, you don't need willpower to overcome addiction. Just retrain the brain. I'm not totally with it. I think there's a little bit of grit, a little bit of grittiness, a little bit of struggle that needs to come with recovery, right? That mental edge. So how do you speak to your guys about that?
Okay. Another great question, man. There's a difference between motivation and determination, right? Motivation, rah, it's January 1st. I'm going to lose weight. All my friends are doing it. I'm in a weight loss challenge. We're all talking about, man, I'm motivated. Okay, you do something long enough, that shit goes away. Motivation is out the window, right? You wake up in the morning, you're supposed to go to the gym at 4 a.m. It's cold. You didn't get enough sleep. You're tired. Motivation is not going to get you to the gym. Determination is. So you got to look at that end goal and say, here's where I want to be. And I'm going to predetermine my decisions on how I get there now. So case in point, I do a lot of those Hell Week things, and we do, 2, 3, 4 days, and guys aren't sleeping, and it's cold, and it's whatever. Number one rule I say is, they go, how do you get through these things? I said, don't make a decision in the dark. Whatever you decide when the sun is out is what you're going to stick to. So we're sitting here, Brock, and you're amped up. I'm amped up. Like you can see, I get fired up about this shit. I'm excited right now. You're motivated. I'm motivated. Cool. What are we going to do? Let's work out tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Sounds good. Let's do it. Okay. Well, all of a sudden I got a sick kid tonight. I had a rough day at work. 4 a.m. comes up real fast. I'm like, it's still dark outside. I don't give myself the liberty of making a decision in the dark. If I said I was going to do it when everything was going well, I'm going to show up and do that. And addiction and fighting addiction on a day-to-day basis is the same thing. You can't just be motivated and think that's going to carry you through, because as soon as that motivation wears off and the sparkly, shiny rainbows wear off and your buddy comes out of the back alley who you haven't seen in 5 years and he's got a little something in his pocket or a little something in his bottle, that motivation isn't there. You have to be determined, and determination is founded in mental toughness. And how do you become mentally tough? Force yourself to do shit that's uncomfortable for so long that what was once uncomfortable is now well within your comfort zone.
Recovery.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it, man.
I don't know if there's anything harder that I personally gone through than finding lasting recovery.
Yeah, it's a lifelong battle. Lifelong battle.
Derek, man, thank you. Dr. Derek, man, thank you so much for coming on. I'm serious, man. You entertained us, you fueled us, you gave us some great information. I'm just gonna end with this, man. Thanks for listening to the Chase the Vase podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when the new podcast is posted. Please rate, review, and share it with those who would benefit from being sober. Now get out there and chase the vase. It will be done, and I will do it. Thank you, brother.
Right on, brother. Thanks, man.